WWE's Clash at the Castle takes place this weekend, so you know what that means. It's time for another PLE preview. All in all, I'm very excited for this PLE. I think it has all the makings to be a very solid PLE. I think the matches should be good, and the storylines coming into Clash at the Castle are very good. We'll obviously get to them as we go through the matches and our predictions, but I think above all else, I'm excited to see another European crowd at a WWE event. I think what we've learned from having all of these PLEs overseas is that the crowds just go nuts for WWE. We saw it in London, we saw it in France, we saw it in Saudi Arabia, so I'm very excited to see what the crowd in Scotland has to offer. The first match that we're going to look at is the Women's Championship match between Bayley and Piper Niven. Now, I think it's very cool that Piper Niven does get a chance to have a big match in her home country. I think it's awesome, and her promo on Monday Night Raw really won me over when she was talking about making a name for women's wrestling in Scotland and working up through the ranks. As someone who has really not been a huge fan of Piper Niven, she just never really has done it for me. That promo got me very excited for this match, and her work with Chelsea Green has been fantastic as of late, so I'm actually very excited for this match. Unfortunately for Piper, I do think Bayley retains. I just don't see WWE taking the belt off Bayley right now. However, in saying that, I do think the time is coming. I just don't see Piper as being next in line quite yet. I think give it some time, and I think Piper could be there, but I think she still has some things to tinker with here, so I'm going Bayley. Moving on to the women's tag team triple threat match between the champions Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, taking on the team of Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler, and the unholy union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Now, before last night's Monday Night Raw, where we saw a match between Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, which saw Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler basically squash Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, I thought that there was a legit chance that Alba Fire and Isla Dawn could win this thing, seeing that they are the hometown favorites once again in this match. However, after seeing them get squashed last night, I don't think they win anymore. I think the chances of them winning have gone down significantly, and I just don't really see Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler as a long-term tag team, and I definitely don't see them as tag team championship material. Now, don't get me wrong, Shayna Baszler has done some fantastic work on NXT recently. I think probably some of my favorite work that I've seen her do, but again, I just don't see them as a tag team champion. Now, there is a very good possibility that in order to preserve Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, they end up losing, but they don't get pinned. But even then, I just don't see them taking the tag team titles off of Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair quite yet. Therefore, I have them retaining. Up next, we got the Intercontinental Championship match between Chad Gable and Sami Zayn. Now, this is by far my favorite story coming into this PLE. The way that they are building up Otis, and I'm telling you, that pop when Otis finally turns on Chad is going to be legendary. Again, this is easily my favorite storyline coming into Clash at the Castle, and I think something that's kind of getting forgotten is this match is going to be incredible. We're getting Chad Gable and Sami Zayn again. Those two in a match alone are already a fantastic match. Add the storyline in, and add the title being on the line again. This has all the makings to be match of the night. I think when you incorporate the two workers in the ring, Alpha Academy, and mainly Otis, I think when you put that all together, that just reeks of match of the night. And with all that being said, I do think that this is when we finally see Otis turn on Chad. I think Chad maybe pushes Otis just a little bit too far this time, and I think Otis snaps, attacks Chad Gable, costing him the match. I have Sami Zayn winning because of this. At this point, a Chad Gable versus Otis match would sell itself. A lot of people are loving this storyline, and for good reason. It's a fantastic storyline that's being told right now, and I think a match between Chad and Otis doesn't need to have a title on the line. I think it would just be a fantastic match in itself and could be completely storyline driven as opposed to have it be for the IC title. Now, I do think that Chad inevitably does get the IC title. However, I just don't think it's here. I think Otis cost him the match, and I think Sami Zayn will retain. Moving along, we've got an I Quit match between AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. It always feels like that the babyface in an I Quit match just can get hit by every finisher, every brutal move taken, and still manage to win. Now, don't get me wrong. I am excited for the match because it is AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes, and it's going to be a good match. And I think the crowd, again, is going to play a major factor into it. But I'm just not a fan of the I Quit stipulation. Unless WWE pulls something straight out of left field, there is no way that AJ Styles wins. I think Cody Rhodes will retain simply because the baby faces don't lose in an I Quit match. Finishing up with the World Heavyweight Championship match between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. And I think this should be the main event. If it's not, I think it's a big missed opportunity by WWE. But the crowd is 100% going to be on Drew McIntyre's side. We saw what it was like at Clash at the Castle a couple years ago when he took on Roman Reigns. This is Drew McIntyre's chance for redemption, not only for that night, but for WrestleMania 2, when he won the championship from Seth Rollins, and he let CM Punk in his head again, and that led to Damian Priest cashing in his Money in the Bank, defeating Drew McIntyre, and becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion. So Drew McIntyre, in my opinion, has redemption on his mind for Clash at the Castle against Roman Reigns, for WrestleMania against Seth Rollins, and everything that happened with CM Punk. However, I think Damian Priest wins and retains simply because I think CM Punk interferes in some sort of way. Whether he is actually going to Clash at the Castle, or whether or not they play his music in the Titantron, and Drew just gets distracted for just that split second. And I only say a split second because we saw what a split second decision can do at WrestleMania 40 in the main event with Roman Reigns. We saw him for that split second decided to, instead of use that chair on Cody Rhodes, he swung it at Seth Rollins. And that split-second decision cost him the match. I think we could see a similar scenario play out here. Again, whether CM Punk shows up or just his music plays, something. I think CM Punk gets in the mind of Drew McIntyre again, and I think it costs him the match here. Again, all signs are pointing to Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. And again, I think this is another match that doesn't necessarily need a title put on it for it to be a big match. So with all that being said, I do think that Damian Priest wins and retains, and I think CM Punk is involved in some sort of capacity. So this is where I want to hear from you guys. Do you agree with my predictions? Do you not agree with my predictions? Why do you agree with them? Why do you not agree with them? Again, I think Clash at the Castle should be a very, very solid PLE. I think it's got the makings for it. I think the matches are good. The only thing that we have to do is wait and see what happens. As always, in the description down below is going to be the link to the Linktree page. I highly suggest taking a look at our X page. If you're a fan of wrestling, over there we post updates on every Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, as well as all the PLEs. So if you are a wrestling fan and you're looking for somebody to talk to about wrestling, I highly suggest checking that out. That's going to do it for this PLE preview. I hope you enjoy Clash at the Castle. We'll see you next time.